So we're back right where we left the last video. So we're going to create the main component and the navigation, since those are the only ones that we're going to display first. So let's actually go to main. Okay, let's start with that. So let's say import React, or let me just copy this because you should already know this. If not, you just need to type it. Okay, so we're going to import React and use effect from React. We need to import something else, that is the link from React router, that is going to allow us, I don't know why it pasted that there, it's going to allow us to create the anchors. Okay, and that is going to be it. We still don't have our Firebase configuration, so once we display something different in the browser, okay, then we're going to start building the configuration. Okay, so this one is going to be the main. Okay, it's going to say only return the just a React fragment, and it's going to say main works. So export default main. So we have that. We will use this one later. We still need to configure some things that, if you remember Redux, okay, it's kind of similar. Okay, people say that Redux takes a ton of configuration. Also, you will need to do some configuration with the context, although it's not that much. You still need to handle several things inside your application. Okay, so you will still create different contexts and different reducers. So it's kind of similar to what we did with Redux, with all the setup. Okay, in order to start showing our application, and then we're going to build it just pretty straightforward. So we have the main, and let's go to nav so we can have the navigation. And I'm going to just copy what I have here. So import React use state and use effect from React. We're going to import another two things that are sorry about that, link and we router from React router DOM. Okay, and we're going to import right away because that's why I created that. We're going to import right away or out, that is coming from context, out context. Okay, it seems that, just give me a second. No, it's returning that. Okay, so sorry, what we are going to import is this one, is the context. So the context is already exported. Okay, and we're going to handle that. Sorry, I got a little confused there. So we're going to import the out, that is the context. Okay, and now create our constant nav. Okay, capital N nav equals, and we're going to return something. Okay, we still won't handle the authentication right now. We're just going to return let's say let's type, well, let's not type it, let's just copy this. You can copy this. Okay, and this one is going to have the closing tags. Okay, so this is just a navigation. We are lacking a few parts. Just add this so you can have the starting point, and of course we need to say export default nav. Okay, save that. We are still not using the context, we're still not using use effect and use state, just we are going to display this so we can start. Okay, right now let's remove a few things from our app.js. Okay, we're going to leave the app like that. We're going to remove the logo and the app.css. We're going to import the routes, okay, from our routes. And sorry, it's only going to take that file. We're going to import routes from our routes and import nav from the components and nav. And here inside this, we're going to return first the nav, okay, and then I'm going to just wrap this inside this main. So we're going to use the routes. So let's save that. And you can see we have this. This is not working. Okay, it's going, but it's not displaying anything. Okay, but this one is displaying our main works. Okay, so we have that. Now we can configure our Firebase. So let's go to project overview maybe. Let's click this one and it's going to tell us that we need to add an application. So let's say the same name, React context, something like that. Register application. And it's going to give us all the information we need. Okay, let's copy that. And let's go to Firebase. And I'm going to create inside Firebase a config file that is going to take also our class. Okay, but yeah, you can name it however you want. Okay, we already have, no, we don't have Firebase installed. I forgot to do that. So let's say npm install Firebase. Okay, we still need to install Firebase inside this project. So let's wait for that. I forgot to actually do that. So let's actually come back here and say constant config equals to the space what we have. Let's save this and let's wait for that to actually be installed. And well, let's configure this right away since it shouldn't be a problem. I'm going to import some things that is Firebase from Firebase app. That Firebase is still not installed. App is the current application that we have, the current environment, and we need to import 3 more things because those are the things that we're going to use. So we're going to import Firebase Auth. That is going to use the authentication package. Firebase Firestore, that is going to use the Firestore package, and Firebase storage that also is going to use the storage. Okay, so after this we still don't have that installed. Okay, so we are just setting that inside the config file. Now you could maybe export this, okay, and import it inside another file, but let's just keep this one inside. Okay, so let's just create Firebase, this class Firebase, and this one is going to have a constructor. So this constructor is going to init the different things we are going to use. So first of all, it's going to say Firebase that init initialize app. We still don't have this functionality. Okay, so in case you wait for Firebase to be installed, you will get the autocomplete, okay, for these functionalities. Now this .out is going to be equals to Firebase out. Let's add a semicolon there, and this .dv is going to be equals to Firebase.firestore. Firestore. Okay. So it's taking a bit actually to install. I don't know why. Okay. So I'm just going to continue. So just wait for that to be installed and continue with the, okay, continue typing this so you get the correct autocomplete. Okay, so we're going to say export default new Firebase because we need to export actually the new instance, okay, of this class so it works. Let me just close this one. The routes, they are reduced that we're not going to use anymore, and this context that we're not going to use anymore either, or neither. So let's actually add the functionality because I have all this inside my code. It's still not installing. What the fuck is going on with this? Shouldn't take that long. It's been like, what, 5 minutes? Well, fuck that. So let's continue actually with what we have. So right now, we already have this. So let's come back here and say go to the console. Okay, we have one application there, and all this should be fine. I'm going to leave that open. So we are blind here because we cannot see the changes, but we can still build the functionality. So let's say async. This is similar to what we did with React Redux and only with React. Okay, login, email, and password. So this is what is going to take. This function is going to take the email and password, and we're going to create this constant user equals to await Firebase that auth. You can see that we have this. Why? Because it just got installed. Okay, so let's say npm start. Yes, it's a function. Sorry. So sign in with email and password. So this is the login. Let me just close this, okay, because it still opens my edge. We're going to pass the email and password here so we can catch now the error inside this. Remember that we're using catch inside this await, okay, so we can have the error once it happens. Console log console log error, so we can console that. And since we want to handle the error, we're going to return the error. Okay, so this is going to return the error, and we're going to catch that inside our application, inside our component, and if not, it's going to return the user. So we're going to say return user. Okay, now we are going to create the other functionality, that is the async sign in. Sign in is going to take also the email and password. So I'm going to build this quite fast. If you want more detailed information, you can check the other tutorials, because this is actually the same, only using a context. Okay, await Firebase.auth, but I think I'm not still going faster than I should. So you should still understand what is going on. So we're going to say create user with email and password. Email and password. That catch error. Also that log error, and below this one we're going to return the error if that happens. Okay, and return user if the user is created. Okay, And the last one is going to be, let me scroll down a little bit. The last one is going to be the logout. So async logout. It doesn't take any parameters. And it's going to say constant logout. Constant logout. You can just say await. It's not, I think it's not returning anything, but let's just say that. Await Firebase out. Sign out. That is here. And we can catch the error. Also that log. Let's just say this so you can see it better. Error, and let's not add or not cut this verbosity because it's going to help you to understand what is going on. And we're going to say we can return the error in case that happens. Well, it could happen, I don't know. Return logout. Okay, so let's say that you cannot return anything from here. Okay, I mean you can just use the await and logout, but let's just see if that returns anything and keep it like that. Okay, so we handle any error that could happen, maybe with the service is down and something like that. So let's add some. So it's going to say login, some comments, sign in, and logout. Logout. Okay. So we are already exporting the Firebase, and we need to go to the navigation. Okay. To continue with this. Well, not the navigation, sorry, the sign in, so we can create a new account. So let's create the sign in. So let me see the time. 17. Okay, this shouldn't take that long because all this is going to be straightforward. So we can finish the video here after creating this one. Okay. So let's say React use a state from React, Firebase from our configuration that is here. Remember that we're exporting the class instance, and out. Let's add a little space in there so it looks better. From context and out context. That is the context that we're going to use. Okay. Remember that initial context is just a user with an empty object. Now let's say constant sign in. So remember that we need to add a form here. So okay, let me just say return and actually export that. Export default sign in, and we're going to return, sorry, not return, but React fragment. And let's say just to see that form, fuck that. So now we need to add that inside our routes. We don't have that inside our route. So let's say import sign in from the components that we have, and we have this sign in that is returning that fragment. And we can come back here and say route, no, route exact path that is, I think, is sign in. Let me check my routes. So I don't, yeah, it's sign in component equals sign in. It's compiling. We still don't have that, but we're going to create that in a second. We still can see that. Okay, so if I go to sign in, we're going to see this form. We still don't have that inside your navigation. Okay, we will add that later. So okay, we were Okay, sign in. So we're going to finish with the sign in and stop the video. Okay, stop the recording. So what we're going to do now, let's remove that spacing or add some more here. We're going to create the form, but for that we are going to use, or we're going to define a constant that is going to return the email and set email from, okay, the use state. Remember that that returns the state and the state changer. Okay, let's call it that. Okay, the function that actually manages the state. So let's say constant password and set password. So use state, nope, and like that. Remember that we want to use the context. Okay, so we're going to say constant. Let's build this straight state and dispatch React from React that use context and we're going to call the name of the context you want to use. Okay, that is the out context, and let's say constant sign in, that this is the function that is actually going to take place when we submit the form. So it's going to take an event and we're going to say event that prevent default with a capital D, default. Okay, so let's say console.log form sent. So now we can create actually the form. I'm going to create the first one and copy the other one. Okay, so this is going to be a form and we're going to have this on submit, and the function that we're going to run is sign in. Sign in. Now let me scroll down a little bit so you can see better what is going on. Let's say create an account. Now let me just copy the label. Okay, this is just pure HTML label. HTML4, this is the name of, or better said, the, yeah, it's the name, it's just the name. Okay. So when we click this, it should focus the input. So the input is going to be this input type email, not like that, but like this. Let's close that. Name email, and we're going to use the onChange, and we actually can use the setters of the state here. So for this not to run when the application mounts this component, we're going to call it like this, event, and then set email, and we're going to pass the value that is event.target, no, that value, that is the value from this input. Okay, and we have that. So that's the same for the other one. Let me just copy that and paste it, add a little space in there so it looks better. Okay, so you can see the two, the label and the input. So it's going to set the password to the target value of this input. We need now this input that is actually going to send the submit, and that should be it. So it's going to say create account, yeah, That looks fine. And we are here. All this crap. Okay, let's clear that. And we need to come here into authentication and configure authentication or method for session init. This one, email and password, the first one. And no, sorry, this is not it. It's just the first one. And save. Now we should be able to say your email 1 2 3 4 5 6 and create account. Let's see if that okay. It didn't work because I forgot to add. I thought I already added this. So let's add the functionality that is going to allow us to create a user. Okay, so we have this Firebase that is coming from the new Firebase instance that we're exporting, and this has our functionality. So what we're going to do here is let response equals to await Firebase that, okay, we're going to sign in, we're going to create a new user. So this one is going to take the email and password. So you can see that when we use this one, so let me just remove that. This one gets, you know, kind of, it's not lit, okay? And this one is. So that means we are using those variables, okay? The one in line 7 and the other one in line 8. So we're using those values that are being set when we type this, meaning that it's going to use my email and what I type there as my password, a pretty strong password. So this one, okay, we're going to await for that and we're going to store the response. So the response is going to have two states, okay, or one of two states. The first one is going to be the user if this responds correctly, okay, and the other one is going to be the error if there's an error. What could be an error? That we just the password automatically tells you that you need 6 characters, okay, any characters, you just need 6. So if you type 5 or 4, it's going to prompt you that it's going to return an error telling you that you only have or that passwords must have 6 or more characters, okay? So we're going to handle this in a simple way that is going to be the response that has on property, because that is going to return a property, has on property inside this, okay? So this is going to be an object, and if we return an error, it's going to be, it's going to have the message, okay? This is only going to happen if an error occurs. So we can console.log the error and say response that message, okay? Else, okay, I like to do the else after that. Console.log response that user, okay, because if there's an error, it's going to return a message and another thing and an error, okay, but we will not have this user property inside the response, okay. That will only happen, we will only get the user property when we successfully create the user. So here we can return or dispatch, okay, dispatch that we need to return something, okay, that is first the type. So it's going to be sign in, the type that we have defined inside our reducer, and the payload that is going to be the response, the entire response, okay, that is going to be response that user, I think. So let's save this, and so you can see, let's say console.log the state, okay, that user. Let's see if that works. And okay, away, because we need this one to be async. Forgot that. Sorry, it's not there. It's inside. this because this is the parameters. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6, create account, sign in JS 19. Let's see what we are consoling that. Inside the response, we're not getting this state, so we can just delete that. I'm not sure if that was there in order for me to see the state, but we will see later the state, okay, how we can get the state. I think I missed this one. Okay, so let me just delete that. Okay, so the state is coming from there and we should be able to see the state, but why I'm not seeing that? So this is the state that is going to be returned. Okay, so let me just show you something. So we will see that better. So this is the state, okay, that should respond when I call the console log state. Okay, so I was right with that, but for some reason it's not returning. So let's say let's come back here and say console log state, so we can see that we have now we should have now a user. Let's go to users. So let's create another user just to see this username 1 2 3 4 5 6, create account. You can see that we get this user on line 16. We're still getting that user. Okay, that this is the state. So you can see we're using the user that is the initial state, that is just a user with an object. Okay, and now we are returning this that is on line 23. That actually is the user created, so you can see the response. Okay, and that should take place of the user we have. So what I'm going to do is to stop the video here and continue later with the rest. So we have the login. We can not the login, sorry, the sign in. So let me refresh this. Okay, let's wait a bit. It's taking more than it should take in order to display this, but okay. The thing is that we're going to use this state, okay, in order to display. Remember that we are displaying the email, okay? So from there we're going to save the current user, and from there, from the state, the global state, we're going to return, okay, the display name or the email, I think, that is coming from a Firebase that is inside this response user. This is not showing. Okay, just to show you that we have the other user. Okay, username. So we have that. Okay, so we will continue with the login and the navigation in the next video. So wait for that.